The bottom line up front is that based on those factors we were able to study, and we believe this is just the tip of the iceberg, we identified that the U.S. could be saving about $1.6 billion per year in avoided losses if we had good, consistent adoption and enforcement of these disaster-resistant building codes. To give you a better perspective on what that means, because those savings accrue and build over time, if all new construction had adhered to modern building codes, the nation between now and the year 2060 could save theoretically as much as $600 billion. For instance, looking backwards, codes have already provided more than $27 billion in cumulative mitigation benefits against the three main hazards: flood, hurricane wind, and earthquake, going back for the period from 2000 through 2016, or the period of study for this, the period of examination for this study. And if we dig just a bit deeper, that breaks down, for instance, like over the next 20 years, cities and counties would be able to avoid something like $32 billion in losses over the next 20 years. Or looking out 40 years, that number balloons to $132 billion worth of estimated losses avoided based on current growth and the use of these strong, modern, disaster-resistant codes. So that's something like 577,000 new buildings impacted every year, and that's expecting something like approximately 13.9 million buildings to be added to our inventory between now and 2040 based on current projections and current construction rates. So what does this mean in terms of big or small savings and cost? An area I know that there's been a lot of discussion around is, what's the incremental cost to build a house better? There's differing opinions. Some say that there's virtually no cost. Others say, oh, it's such a huge cost to meet these requirements that it will force people out of the housing market. And I think what we've seen and what we're developing as well and getting a better handle on is the actual cost for a, quote, average house is relatively small, 1 to 1.5% in most cases. So if your house is worth $250,000, $300,000, you may be talking about $4,500, give or take, depending on whether you're looking at a high hurricane-prone area, a flood-prone area where elevation is required, or a seismically active area where you have to do some seismic improvements. So when you look at this over 30 years, for instance, you see that about $1,600 in avoided losses per year over those 30 years, or something like $48,000 in cumulative avoided losses can accrue to the average home. That's certainly in the case of a flood insurance policy or an earthquake insurance policy. You can see what those numbers quickly look like. That more than makes up, in many cases, for what people are investing to protect themselves from the peril. And let's not even talk about the maintaining possessions, maintaining the integrity of your lifestyle, not being forced out of your home, and all of the other awful impacts that go along with home failures during disasters.